So this is Unit 2 for AP Modern World History, Networks of Exchange from 1200 to 1450. It is important to understand the context behind what is going on at this time. So between 1200 and 1450, economic activity along existing trade routes increased in volume and scope. Technological and commercial innovations, imperial expansion, and demand for luxury goods were key factors in the ongoing expansion of trade. Growing trade networks accelerated cultural, biological, and technological diffusion across Afro-Eurasia. Between 1200 and 1450, the rise of powerful states and empires played a critical role in increasing the volume and geographical reach of existing trade networks. The Mongol Empire promoted trade along the Silk Roads, creating a vast commercial network across Eurasia. Trade networks across the Sahara and in the Indian Ocean added both West Africa and East Africa to this network. Improvements to previously existing commercial practices, including forms of credit, facilitated larger networks of exchange. Driving this growth in trade was a growing demand for luxury goods, such as silk and porcelain from China and gold from Africa. In the context of this growing trade, powerful new trading cities emerged scattered across Africa and Eurasia. Trade provided the setting for significant cross-cultural exchanges. As merchants and other travelers moved from place to place, they introduced religious beliefs such as Islam and developments in technology such as papermaking and gunpowder to new communities. Against the backdrop of this transfer of ideas and things came also the rapid spread of deadly diseases, most notably the bubonic plague. Several topics are included in Unit 2. 2.1 is the Silk Road, where we look at the causes and effects of growth of networks of exchange after 1200. 2.2 is the Mongol Empire in the modern world, where we look at the process of state building and the decline in Eurasia over time. We'll also look at the expansion of empires and how they influenced trade and communication over time. And we'll look at the significance of the Mongol Empire and larger patterns of continuity and change. In 2.3, we'll look at exchange in the Indian Ocean and explain the causes of growth of networks of exchange after 1200. We'll also look at the effects of the growth of networks of exchange after 1200. And then we'll look at the role of environmental factors in the development of networks of exchange in the period from 1200 to 1450. In 2.4, we look at the Trans-Saharan Trade Network and explain the causes and effects and the growth of this trade network. We'll also look at the expansion of empires and how they influenced trade and communication on the Trans-Sahara Trade Network over time. 2.5, we'll look at the cultural consequences of this connectivity. We'll explain the intellectual and cultural effects of various networks of exchange in Afro and Eurasia. In 2.6, we'll look at the environmental consequences and look at the effects of various networks of exchange from the same period. And then in 2.7, we're going to compare the economic exchange and look at the similarities and differences among the various networks of exchange during this time period of 1200 to 1450.